Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Overcoming Graduation with Brian Drury, a show where I work to teach you everything I wished I'd known about habits to help you create your dream life starting today. Today is another installment of the Morning Commute, where I take my ride to work in the morning to share a short but powerful message with you to help you kick your day off on the right foot. And today's message is this: as if it already happened. This morning I was talking to a friend of mine, and we were texting back and forth, and she said, have you ever seen this video? And she sent me over a Denzel Washington commencement speech. And I recognized it immediately. I was like, yeah, I've seen that. It's great, but I hadn't listened to it in a long time. And so initially I was just going to be like, yeah, I love that one. It's so good. Denzel's the man. But then I said, let me listen again, because I know it's not too long, and I love Denzel stuff. So I start listening to it, and amazing. Like, he does a brilliant job in this. And then he gets to this line. I mean, and his story is so incredible that he drops out of school, that he was told time and time again he couldn't act, or he couldn't do it, or he got rejected from the play, and he auditioned for something on Broadway, and they told him no, and then years and years later, he finally did get to do Broadway, and it was not too long ago, but it turns out it was at the same theater where he had that rejection all those years ago. So that's an incredible piece of the story just to begin with. But then, at one point, he talks about gratitude. The video is called Put God First. So whether or not you're religious, the message still has power. So stay with me. Because I know some people are like, oh, well, that's not for me. It's like, it's more about the message and the power within the message, not about the words around it. So stay with me on that. So he says part of what has made him successful is the gratitude and celebration and being thankful for things every day. And for him, it sounds like it's through prayer, from what he describes in the video, that he gets down on his knees and he says, thank you for my health, thank you for love, thank you for beautiful days, thank you for everything. And he's like, that's been one of the greatest reasons for my success. And then he also said, celebrate as if it has already happened. And that hit me hard. And I was like, ooh, got some like good chills. I was like right in the heart. And I'm like, that generally is a great indication for me. When I feel it in my heart, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, we're on to something. This is something to pay attention to. Celebrate as if it's already happened. And so I started to think about all my big goals and dreams. And I've learned for years about the power of positive visualization, about focus, about imagining yourself already there. But never really have I made that connection of thanking God, thanking the world, thanking the universe, whatever words you want to put to it, for it already happening. Like, thank you for allowing me to speak in front of 10,000 people in a massive stadium. And it's like, well, it hasn't happened. I can hear the cynics. It hasn't happened. It's not necessarily real yet. And it's like, but just the celebration of the feeling and the possibility and the potential, like celebrating what it could be and celebrating the ride it's going to take to get there, that's a whole different ballgame. And so Denzel's saying that, I know one of my biggest growth areas is gratitude and celebration, enjoying the ride, enjoying what's already happened, enjoying the moment. Just enjoyment, period. It's amazing how quickly I can get so caught up in the actions, the to-dos, the next step, the next sequential piece in the process of working towards a goal that I don't stop to enjoy it at any point. And then I hit a goal, I'm like, great, but now we got to play bigger. And so it's been very easy for me for years to get trapped in that. And here's the thing, guys, it was nobody else trapping me but myself, but I allowed myself to fall into that of stress and intensity, and brief moments of happiness and uplift, and then intensity and stress. And not to say that I will never face stress in my business, in my career, in the things I do. Not to say it will not come to me, but I do not need to create it where it doesn't need to be. I can have so much more joy and excitement and celebration around the things that I do, and I have, and I'm starting that, and it feels, the whole game feels different. It feels completely different. I look at what I'm doing now, and right now, so today is a morning commute, but it's not technically my morning commute to work, because what I'm doing today is I'm driving down to Laguna Beach, which is one of my favorite places on the planet, and it now is just down the road from me. It's a 20-minute drive. This was something that years ago, like Laguna and Ocean, or Orange County and the Pacific Ocean, these are all like, wow, those things that are way out there, and they're totally different. Like, oh, it's California. Now it's like my backyard. It's crazy how much can change. And then when I look at that and I celebrate that, holy shit, the world is beautiful and fun. When I go, Brian, it was a year ago, not even, as I'm recording this, I am coming up on my 1-year anniversary in California. It has only been a year, and the amount of things that have happened and changed. And the other thing is how many years I was working to be in California. It's insane. And then even more so on top of that, less about the location I was at, but more about the way I was choosing to live. Like I said, when I get to California, there's a lot of things I want to do. One of those things was find a coffee shop by the beach where I can work on my business and journal and work on life and just go and have like a peaceful space that's like creative and exciting and engaging. And what has started to happen, because I've started to schedule it and do it, is I'm starting to do all the things that I've wanted to do that weren't an option in other places I've lived, that I've been excited about doing. I said, once I get to California, I'm going to do X. And I know for many months I wasn't doing those things, and I felt like, shit, like I'm blowing it. Oh no, like, I had guilt around it, which, let's be honest, man, it's like a year in the grand scheme of things is not a very long time in most situations and perspectives. And so a year to get settled in a new place is pretty reasonable. And that's something I'm working to remind myself, because I can very easily get into, oh man, you should have been doing more back then. But isn't it interesting how dangerous that mentality is and how that can show up in any area of our life? Because that actually, even as I'm saying it now, I'm realizing it right now, that was much more pervasive than I realized. The mentality of you should have done more in the past, so you should feel guilty about what you didn't do and keep working really hard. In fact, use that as a guilt motivator where you already feel bad, but now you feel worse. Like, use that as your fuel to do work. But here's the thing, guys. When guilt is our fuel, when anger is our fuel, when rage, happiness, insecurity, when we're trying to prove things to people, it's limited. I've seen it time and time again with myself, with others, and you see it all the time. There are people who are driven by hate and fury and a desire to get revenge or show people or prove things. And it may get them to their goal. It may get them beyond their goal. They may exceed well beyond what they thought was possible. They may make more money, impact more people, whatever. But if the goal was driven by something that is negative in most people's definition, I think most people don't want to hang on to hate and rage and insecurity. If it's driven by that and you achieve the goal through that, then it's like, well, I need to maintain this hate in order to continue. I need to maintain this insecurity because that's what got me here. Versus looking at the other side of it and the other possibility where we say, how much more could I do? How much greater could I become? How much more enjoyment and joy and celebration in life could I experience if I celebrated this, if I used a different fuel, if I put something else in the tank other than guilt and anxiety? Because that's been my journey, guys. That's where I'm really focusing this year. That's why I'm spending so much more time planning than I ever have. Because in the past years of my business, it's been just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I mean, that's, figuring out things as I go. That's basically everything I do in life. I grant that. I mean, that's everything that we do. But it's just been, okay, well, let me try this. Let me try that. I guess we can do this. Let's do a live event. Sure, let's just do it in 2 months. Why not? And so this year, I want to actually plan so that I'm working consistently and incrementally towards goals that I can say, okay, every 3 months I want to do this. Every 6 months I want to do this. Monthly I want this. I want this set up. I want to be able to publish this many podcast episodes. I want to release this many products, and then build out my year and my schedule to work towards that. Because what I need to do in order to do that, what I've started and what I'm working on and what I'm going to Laguna to do, is say, these are my priorities this year. And these are the main focuses of the business. And what I'm doing different than I've ever done and that I've ever seen in goal setting activities before is I'm starting with my values. I'm saying, what are the most important values in my life? Not just in my business, but in my life. Because I want to build this business around the values and the emotions and the lifestyle that I want to create. Because if we start with business first, and it's like, all right, I want to make $1 million in a month. It's like, okay, you got to work nonstop. Your health doesn't matter. Your family and friends don't matter. It's all about money. So do whatever it takes to get the money. And that's where people get into trouble. That's where people end up with more money than they know what to do with, but they're sick, they have no one to celebrate with, and they wonder why they're unhappy. So I'm starting with my values. And then I'm going to my emotions. Because these are things I've never seen before. And I'm feeling like maybe this, even just as, like, guys, like, a lot, this is all off the top of my head, and I'm realizing right now, like, maybe this is something else that I'm meant to create and bring out. Because it's like, I have done tons of goal setting. I've done tons of vision exercises. I've done tons of meditation, visualization, picturing the things. And when it comes to goal setting, I've done it in the corporate setting. I've done it in the entrepreneurship setting. So often, what people say, the standard methodology is identify the goal and then create steps towards that goal that you can track your progress. And then, in Toyota Kata, for example, in the corporate setting, they take it a step further and they say, all right, don't just say what your goal is. Say what your long-term vision is. This beautiful pie in the sky, perfect reality that you want to get to. And then you set goals leading up to that. Now, that pie in the sky reality may be something that's so good it may seem impossible at this time, but it gives you a guiding light. It's almost like a compass that keeps steering you back on track, where you say, all right, I'm setting this goal. Is that goal working towards that vision? If no, then it's not the right goal. It's not for this business. It's not for me. So great, cool. We go to an extra level. And I've done that for years. I said, this is my goal. I'm going to publish a book. I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to join a coaching program. And my goal is to give the best speech I've ever given. I'm going to do these things. And time again, I do them. Say, you know what? Like this month, I want to get 3 coaching clients. All right, I did it. And so I got very good at that. But what I didn't have, what was not a piece of that, was the emotional state I wanted to be in while I was working towards these goals and achieving them, or failing at them. That's a big thing, because I would be stressed. It would happen. This is amazing. So cool. And maybe I'd celebrate for an hour, a day, maybe even a couple, a couple days on the high end. But I'm telling you, that was pretty rare. But then it was back to, okay, what's the next goal? And then it's back to stress and grit and force it, and don't rest enough, get sick a lot, all these things. And I'm like, you know what, man, I don't want to play that game anymore. There's a better way to do this, and God knows, because that's part of what I do in my day job, is I'm constantly looking for better ways to do the process. But that's what I do in my day-to-day life, is what's a better way? Because Tim Ferriss talks about this a lot. He talks about efficiency and effectiveness, that efficiency is doing something well, whether or not it's important. Effectiveness is doing the important things. Because there's a lot of things I've been doing I don't need to do and that do not serve me. There's lots of things that I've done that were just habits and I didn't challenge, or I would let the excuses be stronger than my reasons. And so now, as I see those things, as I see that reality more clearly, and as I continue to take more and more ownership of the way that I show up in the world and the way that my life goes, and I don't play, like, I catch myself when I'm playing the victim, I stop it, and I shift to a place of power. As I do that more and more and more, it's like, okay, where is the next step? Where's the next evolution? Because there's always going to be room to grow and to learn and to evolve and to change. But I also want to enjoy the ride while I'm doing it, because the evolution, the growth, and the learning is going to be like 99% of it. The actual event where you give the speech or the the big performance that you give or the presentation at work, that's like 1% of the time. The release and launch of the product is a much shorter, a much less significant amount of time than the time that goes into developing and putting together something that is extremely valuable and meaningful for people. So, as you start to think about your life, one, it's the ownership piece comes first, because one of the biggest problems that we experience in our society is people not wanting to take ownership for their reality. And then what happens? We point fingers at the government and our parents and our genetics and all these things. Now, I'm not saying those things do not affect us, but they do not dictate and control our lives in the way that some people act like it's the government or their school or their company's fault that their life is the way it is. Because we have to fight for and stand up for what we want our lives to be and how we want them to look and how we want to feel. We have to be the ones, because no one else is going to do it for us. And so if we're working really hard and we're working insane hours and we're like, oh, my job is killing me. No, your choices about how you choose to work are tearing you down. It's too much. And then it's like, well, I'm afraid if I told them honestly how I'm burnt out, that they might fire me. It's like, well, is that really the type of company you want to be at, that they need you to work obscene hours in order to be successful? It's like, well, I make really good money. How do you feel? Because some people I know truly love that. Because that's something, it's not always like working hard or working long hours is going to lead to unhappiness. No, I know people that love it. I know people that get fired up. I know people that are just engaged and locked in. But the only person who's going to truly know that is you. And unless you are honest with yourself and you have that honest conversation about where you're at, what you're feeling, and what you want life to look like for yourself, no one else is going to do it for you. So if you don't consciously do it, you can default into whatever is closest, whatever is most easily accessible, whatever is as I say, and as I'm parallel parking here, which is kind of hard while I'm recording, so, but as I've talked about in other episodes, living an easily accessible life. Because the easily accessible life is the one that anybody can have, that's given to us, that's handed to us, that is right at the excuse me, that is right there, and that most people are living, because it's not a conscious choice. It's a default of what am I doing, or what are the people around me doing, and I'm just going to kind of do that without any evaluation on whether or not that truly makes you happy. So guys, as you're thinking about today, your celebration of what what could be, what has not yet happened, but celebrating as if it has. Because in order to do that, you need to envision where you want to be, and you need to see things that you want to do. And then celebrating as if it already happened, you start to feel those feelings and create them now as you're working towards that goal. Because I don't want you guys to fall into the traps that I did, where I was just trying to make accomplishments make me happy, or validate who I am, or change my reality. I want you guys to enjoy the ride. I don't want you guys to be stuck like I was, or, accomplish thing after thing and still don't feel good. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm doing all the things I thought I was supposed to. But now, as I'm celebrating and I'm loving on myself each day, and I'm working to enjoy the ride and love the process, like E.T. Johnson says, focus on the process, not the product. Don't worry. And you might go, well, I want the product to be really good. Me too. But in order to do that, that process has, the better the process is, the better the result will be, guaranteed. So, guys, as you think about today, let's think about one thing that you could celebrate as if it's already happened. You think about a big goal right now, like put one in your head and start celebrating in your mind, like feeling like, oh my God, I can't believe it finally happened. It's amazing. I got a standing ovation. People are writing me from all over the world. They love my book. They love my message. I got a promotion at work because my work was so good. Like, fill in the blanks on what you want that celebration to look like, and allow yourself to just get lost in it. Just for a minute. And then, as you start to work on it, I think you're going to have a lot more fun. That's what I'm about to do, guys. So, I love you all. Thank you for listening. If you have not already, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Stitcher or Google Play. And if you would like to reach out to me directly to give feedback on the show, recommend podcast interviewees, or just ask some questions that you'd like me to answer on the air, please reach out to me at brian@overcominggraduation.com. I love you all. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for being a part of this. I'm about to go to my coffee shop. I'm sitting here in Laguna, just looking around, feeling good, feeling motivated, getting into one of my favorite environments. So let's get into an environment we love, celebrate as if it's already happened, and start putting in the work to make it a reality. I love you guys, and I'll be talking to you again real soon.